Imagine an acorn buried in damp soil. It doesn't roll the dice and hope for the best. It doesn't consult a career counselor. It knows in the deepest fiber of its being that it is for an oak, not a pine, not a palm, an oak. For Aristotle, that blind, stubborn drive toward a specific perfection is the heartbeat of reality itself. This is teleology, the scandalous claim that nature does nothing in vain, that every process, every organ, every human life is pulled forward by an internal telos, an end that explains why it exists at all. Most of us were taught that Aristotle got kicked out of science class in 1859 when Darwin published The Origin. The story goes that teleology died with final causes, replaced by blind variation and natural selection. That story is half true and entirely misleading. Aristotle's teleology was never about a cosmic watchmaker winding up the universe. It was immanent, internal, naturalistic. The telos is not imposed from above. It is the oak already haunting the acorn, the eye already lurking in the embryo. Matter is pregnant with form, and nature is a self-sculpting artist. To see how radical this is, look at the four causes everyone memorizes and forgets. Take a bronze statue. Material cause, the bronze. Efficient cause, the sculptor's chisel. Formal cause, the shape of Achilles. Final cause, to honor a hero. Modern science kept the first two and threw the last two in the trash, declaring them unscientific. Aristotle replies, without the final and formal causes, you cannot even say why the bronze took that shape instead of any other. The telos is doing explanatory work. It is not poetry, it is physics.
Nowhere is this clearer than in his biology, which remained the gold standard for 2 millennia because it is staggeringly good. Aristotle dissected hundreds of animals and noticed something no mechanist could dream of explaining. The parts of animals are there for the sake of something. The eagle's talons are sharp so that it may grasp prey. The prey's speed exists so that it may escape. The stag sheds antlers annually because heavy weapons become a liability after mating season. Every trait is conditionally necessary. Given that an animal is going to live this kind of life, these parts are the best possible tools for the job. Read Parts of Animals, Book I, and you will blush at how often modern Evo-Devo papers rediscover his observations without citing him. Even the heart, he says, forms first in the embryo because heat is the principle of life, and the heart is the furnace. The rest of the body is literally built around its telos. This is not backward causation, it is forward reference. The adult form exerts an attractor effect on development, exactly the way modern systems theorists describe morphogenesis. Carry this upward to human beings and the fireworks begin. Our specific difference, our ergon, is rational activity. The human telos is therefore a life in which reason governs desire, a soul actualizing its potential through the virtues. Happiness, eudaimonia, is not a feeling. It is the excellent performance of this function, the way the excellence of a knife is cutting cleanly. A just society, in turn, exists so that citizens can perform this function together. The polis is not an unfortunate necessity. It is the natural completion of the human animal. Man outside the polis is either a beast or a god, Aristotle quips, neither option recommended.
Fast forward to 2025. Scroll through any social feed and you'll see the wreckage of a culture that quietly abandoned telos. When every desire is equally valid, when gender, career, even species is a consumer choice, we have traded the oaks for an endless menu of possible plants. The result? Epidemic levels of anxiety, because a being without an internal standard of perfection has no way to measure success or failure. The algorithm knows what keeps you clicking, but it cannot tell you what you are for. Aristotle would call this the ultimate privation, potentiality with no actuality in sight. Yet teleology is staging a comeback exactly where you'd least expect, in the hardest of hard sciences. Evolutionary biologists now speak openly of selected effects, of functions that explain why a trait was retained.
Philosophers of mind like Thomas Nagel argue that reductive materialism cannot account for consciousness, and the only alternative is some form of natural teleology built into the laws themselves. Systems biologists describe gene regulatory networks as goal-directed without blushing. Even AI researchers, trying to build agents that act for reasons, keep reinventing Aristotle's practical syllogism. I need X, Y produces X, therefore do Y. But let's go straight to the battlefield. Darwin versus Aristotle on teleology. Darwin's revolution seemed to deliver the fatal blow. Natural selection, he said, is a blind, mechanical process. No foresight, no goal, no for the sake of which. A giraffe's long neck isn't there in order to reach leaves, it's there because ancestors who happen to have slightly longer necks survived better and reproduced more. Apparent purpose is an illusion created by cumulative selection. Final causes, Darwin boasted, were finally banished from biology. Aristotle's teleology looked like a corpse. Yet the corpse keeps twitching. Modern evolutionary theory quietly reintroduced teleological language under the banner of selected effect. When biologists say the function of the heart is to pump blood, they mean it was selected because pumping blood enhanced reproductive fitness. That is a final cause explanation wearing Darwinian clothes. As Ernst Mayr admitted in 1961, biology needs teleonomic language, purpose-like descriptions, because organisms are goal-directed systems. Darwin removed the designer, but he did not remove the direction. The deeper clash is about explanation itself. Aristotle insisted that to understand a trait, you must answer, why is it good that this exists? A normative question. Darwin replaced good with happened to survive. But as philosopher Philip Kitcher points out, when we ask why peacocks have extravagant tails, the full answer still includes the fact that females prefer them. Preference, beauty, and attraction sneak final cause reasoning back in. Darwinism explains the historical pathway. Aristotle explains why that pathway was stable and self-reinforcing, not random noise. Even Richard Dawkins slips constantly. He speaks of genes wanting to replicate, of organisms as survival machines, designed by natural selection. Design talk is teleology in a lab coat. When pressed, Dawkins says it's just a metaphor. Aristotle would laugh. Metaphor or not, you're smuggling my final cause through the back door. The very coherence of adaptation demands an attractor, a better state that selection ratchets toward. Blind process, yes, but blind toward a peak that was always there to be found.
The decisive evidence comes from evo-devo and convergent evolution. Eyes evolved independently at least 40 times, always converging on the same camera-like solution. Wings, echolocation, venom, same story. If selection is truly blind, why does it keep discovering the same optimal designs? Aristotle's answer is brutal in its simplicity, because certain forms are intrinsically better for certain ways of life. Selection doesn't invent the good, it stumbles upon what was already good by nature. Darwin describes the search engine, Aristotle describes the search target that makes the engine work. So Darwin didn't kill teleology, he domesticated it. He stripped away the cosmic puppeteer but left the internal pull toward perfection intact. Today's biologists speak of adaptive landscapes, fitness peaks, developmental constraints, and robust kennelization, all teleological concepts in everything but name. Aristotle's ghost walks the halls of MIT and Cold Spring Harbor wearing a lab coat, smiling quietly. The oak was always waiting in the acorn. Darwin just explained how the soil and rain helped it get there. So next time someone tells you final causes are dead, hand them an acorn. Ask them why it doesn't become a pumpkin. Chance? Mutation? Sure, but those are efficient causes. The deeper question is why the developmental system is robustly canalized toward oak and never pumpkin. Aristotle's answer still stands after 2,400 years, because the oak is what this entity is for. Nature, he said, is a kind of artist, and the telos is the beauty it is trying relentlessly to achieve. We are not exceptions. We too are pregnant with a specific perfection. Find it, cultivate it, live it, and you will have lived, in Aristotle's terrifying phrase, the life that is most truly your own. Anything less is just scattering seeds in the wind.